like everyone here, horrified by what happened. And actually, when you look at the numbers, trains derailed 1,164 times last year, up 17% in the last decade. 29 of those derailments were actually in my state. And in 2022, 817 people across the country were killed in rail accidents, 266 in railroad crossing collisions. So clearly, there is reason to go forward immediately with Senator Brown and Senator Vance's legislation and to help in Ohio. I guess I would start with you, Mr. Shaw. Norfolk Southern's accident rate jumped 76% between 2013 and 2022. And could you just briefly explain why and if you support the legislation that our colleagues have proposed?
Yes, Senator, thank you for that question. We are a safe railroad. The number of derailments on Norfolk Southern last year was the lowest in the last 2 decades. We are committed to getting better. And so, yes, there are many provisions within the Vance-Brown bill for which we give our full-throated endorsement.
And then do you support the bill?
I support a number of provisions within the bill, Senator, which include the
And which ones don't you support?
Senator, we support the acceleration of the phase-in of the DT-117s, funding first responder, hazmat training, expanding advanced notification.
Okay, I'll just put it in writing. I was just trying to figure out which ones you didn't support and why, because I just think it's very important to move ahead. They've signaled an interest in working with all stakeholders to try to get this done. And I just don't want this to be one of these moments where we wait 2 years to pass a bill. Chief Comstock, thank you for your work. We are greatly appreciative of the first responders, firefighters, and everything that you did, not only in this incident, but across the country. So Senator Kramer and I today are introducing a bill, the Honoring Our Fallen Heroes Act, to start looking at making sure that our firefighters, we already have a register going on, as you know, that a bunch of us worked on, but to making sure that this is included in their benefits.
Thank you.
The exposure and the certain cancers. And we think we're going to get a lot of support for this bill. Actually, it's specifically targeted, written in a way that we think is going to be good. So could you talk about what some key information you wish you had before arriving at the scene of the derailment?
I think in any instance that when responders are proceeding to a scene of an emergency, we want to have as much information as we can. And whether it's a car accident, whether it's a medical emergency, house fire, or a hazardous materials incident. So the more information and the quicker we can get information, the better. There are apps out there that have been discussed, Ask Rail being one, that provide that type of information. But I think we could go further by looking at newer technology that will put that information that's available in Ask Rail on my phone while I'm en route to the emergency. That's one instance.
Right.
But I understand that there's a lot of other issues that need to be looked at.
And also to be alerted of what toxic chemicals are in there, so you know what you need.
Everything.
Okay.
I mean, the more the better, but I think that the fire service needs a seat at that table with the railroads and developing the technology that's going to help us out.
Okay, thank you. Railway safety, another part of this, of course. Mr. Jeffries, with railway workers being exposed to a range of serious risks, what is the industry doing to improve worker safety?
Well, there are a myriad of regulatory requirements around worker safety under the under the Federal Railroad Administration. Certainly we comply with all of those. I know Alan and my other CEOs have made a very concerted effort to get out in the field, and a lot of that's hearing firsthand what's working, what's not from the employees in the field, because they're the ones who are seeing what's going on every day. So that firsthand information that feeds up through through management and through the executives can really drive decision-making. The important thing is that we do take a holistic approach to safety, and the evidence we've seen, as I mentioned, 2022 had the lowest employee injury rate in our industry's history, but that's not zero. So we've got to continue to look for opportunities to further provide safe working conditions.
Right. Do you want to add anything to that, Ms. Hamandi?
We do have rail worker safety on our most wanted list of transportation safety improvements, and one of the, actually we have several recommendations that do not support the use by the railroads of train approach warning. What that is when roadway workers are working on the track, they put a watchman out, and a train, as a train comes along, the watchman is supposed to flag it for those who are working on the track, and they get off the track. We've seen several instances where that hasn't happened, and they've died, unfortunately. And there are other options. For example, using positive train control after establishing a established work zone. So we have recommendations on that.
All right, and I'm going to follow up in writing. My colleagues, I know I'll have questions on the hazmat training, Mr. Comstock, because I understand it's difficult sometimes for firefighters to attend this kind of training and what we can do, and have many other questions. So thank you very much, all of you.
Senator Cruz.